We are entering a new age, the age of artificial intelligence, where questions are more important than answers, and education must keep pace with imagination. To help us reflect on this future, we now welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe, Chairman of NAC and NETF, to speak on education in the AI era.
Very good morning to all of you. My friends on the dais, Dr. Sitaram, Chairman of AICTE, Dr. Kannan Maudgulia, very renowned professor of IIT Bombay, a man with a mission who started spoken tutorials, and all those guests who are there in the auditorium, including principals, vice chancellors, some faculty members, and most importantly, Shank Desai ji and Gaurav Gupta, who have been associated with this project. I'm very excited. Since morning, I was looking forward that what is the new thing happening in spoken tutorials. I learned that IEEE standards are going to be laid on the version of spoken tutorials that have been going on for more than 16 years. Next important thing is the very important aspect which every student when they join college looks forward to is the employability and employment. And that is why using the partnership with X-Step Foundation, IIT Bombay and its team which has started this initiative is about how do we create our youngsters with confidence that they will be able to find the jobs on their own strength rather than on the crutches of someone else. I think a very noble initiative. Congratulations and my best wishes for these two objectives. But I was given to talk on something else, no doubt. I would like to go a little behind. आपने तो शुरुआत में श्लोक बोला था, तो यहाँ बहुत गुरु बैठे हैं. गुरु ब्रह्मा, गुरु देवो महेश्वरा, गुरु साक्षात परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. सब लोग गुरु है यहाँ. लेकिन हम आज देखते हैं कि भारत में एक तरफ हम विकसित भारत की दिशा में जा रहे हैं 2047 तक, और दूसरी तरफ ग्रॉस एनरोलमेंट रेशो हायर एजुकेशन में आज भी 29% है. तो वी हैव ए लॉन्ग वे टू गो. सो व्हाट आर दोज things which national education policy has envisaged while looking into it as one of its kind with holistic education, creating good citizens for the country who develop themselves, also their families, their society, their neighborhood, but also nation at large, and importantly, the whole planet. Because the very survival on this planet is under question today with degradation that is happening in terms of the degradation of nature, the change of climate. We are seeing unseen, unforeseen, rains at some places, somewhere drought. All of that which has been bringing disaster. Therefore, we have to take care of our environment. Our sustainability is also equally important. In this background, I was just reflecting this morning when I visited the temple here, and I was thinking, what is it that philosophically we must look at? हमारे देश की उपनिषद से लेकर जो कल्चर है उसमें 4 चीज़ों के बारे में बताया गया है: शरीर, मन, बुद्धि और आत्मन. I think very few civilizations in the world talk about all these 4 aspects. We do talk about sharira, which is body, which is different for every one of us, but still each one has some big inside which is residing. That's why Swami Vivekananda had said, education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. So each human being comes out with something unique when he or she is born. Each one is unique. I was just reflecting, since we have this Apar ID and prior to that Aadhaar ID, which our X-Step Foundation founder Nandan Nilekani was involved. 2 important things, our fingerprints, which are unique, and it is said that out of 1 billion population, only 2 may be having similar fingerprints. When it comes to iris, it is even much lesser amount. Maybe several billion will have the similar iris. So a deadly combination of Iris and fingerprint make the uniqueness of each individual who is born here. Each one has its own strengths, weaknesses. But in education, we want to transform each of them into excellent citizens, holistic human beings who will have all variety of maybe traits. We do have Mada, Matsara, Raga, Krodha, all of that is there. But more important is Prema, Shakti is there in that, love, affection, and empathy. How education brings all of this is very, very significant and important. And that's why, while each one is unique and different, we must look at some traits which have to be built up in the education sector, right from school education to higher education. And that is why in the modern era, we talk about three things. One of them is critical thinking, analytical ability, and the communication skills. These three are very vital aspects from the perspective of employability. So when we are talking about AI in education, I think how all of these traits are built in the students right from childhood is what is important. So what are those modern tools which are helping us in this respect? And that is where I think today's scheme of things, where a portal is going to be launched, where our young students are going to be trained, their skill sets are going to be developed in terms of critical thinking, analytical ability. But this analytical ability and critical thinking also has some limitations and some issues. For example, a child born maybe in the neighborhood of Mumbai, in the near airport, huge slum is there. That is supposed to be one of the largest slums of Asia. A child born there goes through a different type of a mindset. He sees poverty all around, living conditions are very poor, and he sees on the other side of the road beautiful buildings, people roaming around in Mercedes cars. So what will go through the mind of that child? On one side, there may be a anger and therefore some kind of a revolt which may happen in the mind. On the other side, someone will say, I have to work hard and I have to also achieve the same heights as those have achieved. I think this is the subtler difference that education can bring into the lives of the people. And that is what, in our young minds today, through our education system, whether it is national education policy, whether it is our schools and colleges and universities, have to be prepared for that. And that is why our principals, vice chancellors, and maybe HODs, deans, their role is important. Of course, every faculty is important, but faculty has to be guided, and that guidance should come from the leadership of that institution. And that is why this program is going to be even more important than what I had imagined when I came here. And that is where I started reflecting. We have, through UGC and Ministry of Education, there are several Malaviya Mission Teacher Training Centers, MMTTCs. Their role was different so far. How we can empower teachers is what is being thought about. But much before that, when I was in AICTE as the chairman of AICTE, we started a very important initiative for teacher development. One part is faculty induction program. Very rarely in the higher education, we never bothered about teacher education. For teaching in schools and high school, we require D.Ed, B.Ed. But for teaching in universities or engineering colleges or IITs, what you require is master's degree or a PhD degree, but not any pedagogical aspects behind that. And so we had 8-module teacher certification program began, and unless they clear this and practice it for one semester under the tutelage of a senior faculty member, they will not get regularized. They will remain temporary ad hoc teachers. So that will give them the first insight into what education is all about. And that is where these traits which I was mentioning about creating love, affection, empathy towards the students is very important. When I say students, they may be different. As I said in the beginning, biologically, body, they will be different. Not only that, I was reflecting about a child in a slum, even mana and buddhi can be of different types. The reactions that come from the stimuli may not be the same. With the same stimuli, the outcome may be different in different mind. And therefore, how do we prepare those minds? And then subsequently, each one of us should realize that there is Atman, which is the ultimate reality. We merge into the universal consciousness one day. We born one day, and one day we have to all die. We don't take away anything from here. Everything what we gained in this earthly wood, we have to leave behind and go. And if this principle is embedded, and that is where again one more initiative which we undertook in AICT was universal human values, which every student, when they come into the first freshman year, first 3 weeks, they will go through an induction program where they will get realization about students coming from rural or urban, from Marathi, Kannada, Hindi to English medium, that is language part, or diversity in terms of their upbringing, richness or poverty. All of them have to be seen with equal eyes. And that sensitiveness, that humanity has to be embedded in each individual. I think that is the sum and substance of education. Now, moving from the era of chalk and talk, which we have been used to for several centuries rather, but we reflect back in old system of Gurukula, we all know that we used to have total experiential learning. Today again, the circle has turned full circle, and then today also we talk about experiential learning. मैं तो कहता हूँ कि सब कॉलेज यूनिवर्सिटी में सब लोगों को एम्पैथी फैक्टर डेवलप करने के लिए एक अनुभव शिविर करना चाहिए. अनुभव शिविर मीन्स one where you will experience real life situations. There are students with different challenges. We often used to call some of them as physically handicapped. The terminology has been changing to physically challenged, to differentially able. To today, our Prime Minister talks to them as Divyangjan. So if we have this kind of change in nomenclature, even for understanding the difficulties that they go through, you close the eyes by a cloth and ask them to move around, they will understand the difficulty of a visually impaired person. You close their ears and shout at them, and then they will not understand a single word. They will understand the difficulty which hearing impaired is going through in the classroom. I think this kind of empathy can be developed through such kind of shivirs, which we should all have. Now, having said this, which is all in physical domain, in the education technology sector, we are all aware from the chalk and talk, we move to slowly overhead projector system, LCD projection system, today internet-based education. We have had what is known as today MOOC platforms, but I realize the old memories come afresh. Dr. Kannan Maudgalia was here in IIT Bombay in CDEEP, and I was in College of Engineering, Pune as the director. And our mentor, joint mentor rather we can say, Dr. F.C. Kohli, the first chairman of the Tata Consulting Services, the man who is called the father of software industry in India. He was the chairman of the board of governors of my institute. And he said that IIT level education should not be only for limited 1,000 students, but it should be spread to all the students. And what an experiment. We said that using the new technology which was emerging, which we have internet capability through the broadband or through the what we call fiber optic link which was available. We said 2 Mbps link between IIT Bombay and College of Engineering Pune, just about 300 kilometers away. But if you have that, the classroom experience of IIT B can be shared with College of Engineering Pune. That was the first experiment probably in the world. Even Khan Academy had not come in. No MOOC platforms like edX and what we call today as MIT's edX or Coursera, nothing was there. That is the time a visionary like F.C. Kohli forced both of us to implement that, and that is our friendship which began. I think that experiment subsequently, after that successful experiment, he said that now it should be nationwide. And that's where when I came to AICT, we started experiments in education sector, whether it is examination reforms, whether it is teacher education, whether it is internship portal, using artificial intelligence, how we can make matchmaking like Shadi.com for students having interest in a particular industry, particular location, map, and then the type of industry and the industry's requirements, matching them through the use of artificial intelligence, we are able to provide internships to 80 lakh students in the last 5 years. 80 lakh students, not small mean. We made the internship mandatory, but people were questioning, how can you provide internship to lakhs of students? But it is made possible through use of technology. So technology is an empowerment tool or an enabler tool. But finally, at the end of it, at the back end, there is a human being. That is Homo sapiens, the ultimate highest species of the planet. They have a role to play. So AI, to be used with ethics, we talk about ethical AI using. We have other technologies, augmented reality, virtual reality. We have extended reality, which is a combination of the two. We have also metaverse. We have digital twins. I think the names may galore, but ultimately, how we make use of it. And you rightly pointed out, Sai Sudha, that it is ultimately the questions that are important than the answers. And therefore, to the chat GPT, if you are asking the right questions, you may get to the right answers. But sometimes not, because there are chat GPT or some of those open AI tools which are dependent on data sets which are biased. And if there are biased data sets, we'll get wrong answers too. And therefore, having an indigenous, what we call chat GPT of our own is also important. And then I was talking about increased gross enrollment ratio, which we are looking at through the national education policy. So I was discussing in the morning, why are students not coming to higher education? Two things which separate them. One is financial. The college and university fee is much higher than what many of the people from rural and remote areas afford, and therefore they don't come. And second category is those who feel entire higher education in Bharat is in English, whereas our roots are in our culture, in our languages, which is so diverse. And if we don't empower our young minds who are from remote tribal and rural areas from different languages, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu, Bengali, Assamese, I don't think we are going to reach 50%. So use technology, use the language. And that is the success that we can achieve. So teaching in mother tongue is also important. Spoken tutorials takes cue from out of that. And they have different languages in which spoken tutorials have been created. So I think going beyond, we at AICT created a tool called Anuvadini, a tool which can translate content in English into 22 officially stated languages and many more, and also 37 international languages. And this is a tool which helps in creating books in engineering, in medicine, in law, from best content which is available in any language into any other language. The translation of audio, translation of video, translation of textbooks which are available in any printable format, maybe in terms of software tools like InDesign. They can be converted into any other languages seamlessly. I think no other tool, no other application, even from Google, Microsoft can do it, that is being done by us. I think that is empowerment. I'm sure there are other speakers who will speak about this thing. I had some insight which I wanted to give in terms of what is education, who is going to be behind education, and what is our role. And last thing which I would like to mention is the skill of communication. We always think that communication means speaking, but communication is also reading. Communication is also writing. Communication is also listening, and that is going down and down, and we are very, very scarce in our listening skills. Whenever a student asks a question, half the question is asked, we say, I know what you want to ask, and start answering. Please give your ears to our children, students. We will do a great service to our nation. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.